Out of park message and back in the park message.
Yes.
You would, okay. All right. Not for mistake, Ms. Witness.
By the defense.
Everyone coming over after Emily's hard stop. That was a fun transition.
Stand for a moment.
Oh, good. Stand break. We're all going to stand. How you guys doing? Oh, Lordy. Do I have trial binders to my right? Yes. Do I care? Also, yes. Okay. Did we get anything from that witness other than we've got the vehicle time? So 9:06, the vehicle is in park and goes out of park into drive. Then he arrives at the property or arrives at his parents' house. Stays for 21 minutes, not 30 to 40. Okay. He's back at the property.
Right, back in order.
So, but the problem is, when I was setting up this stream, I missed about 3.5 minutes of that testimony. So, did the vehicle park when it got straight back to the property and parked and didn't move?
Good afternoon,
again, or
sir.
did it move?
Good afternoon.
Chat's got to
I
help
won't-
me out here on this one.
Hopefully this won't take long, just a few clarifying questions. First, you mentioned that the data was
Oh,
encrypted.
God. Thank God. No,
Yes,
it
when we pulled the data off the chip, it was encrypted.
Is this something that's the manufacturer did?
Yes,
It's not something that
Hang on.
the end user doesn't do something to encrypt the data. It comes that way.
not for the infotainment system, no.
And so it sounded like you kind of had to reverse engineer with a test vehicle to figure out the media stuff.
Yeah,
Were you not able to get General Motors to
set up in
assist with
5
that?
minutes.
We could, but we generally try to find the data on our own. Often we have it's difficult for us to get the manufacturers to work with us on that data.
Oh, you mean
Did anyone
manufacturers
attempt
don't like
to
giving over
reach
their
out to General
proprietary
Motors, say,
encryption?
to de-encrypt the data?
Not from EDAU.
Surprise. All right.
I won't
so
go over
got
this
slow mode's
spreadsheet
going on.
too much. You still have the exhibit with you?
I have a copy.
Okay. And we didn't have a,
We can do that. In my thoughts, yes.
is it up?
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you just briefly about, if I can find it.
All right, turning the mic up. Sorry. Jeez.
There were some things that were happening at 9:03. 9:03. 21:03.
What happened at 9:03?
Let me do it. I've got my phone on that. 9:04. I didn't quite understand. What do these mean? This group of things that say info state, sleep, and state, some abbreviation, animate, all these things happening in this 9:04, 9:05 range. What does that mean?
So as I was attempting to explain before that some of these messages, like individually, they don't mean a whole lot. Like, what does this actually mean? But in this case, it's generally showing. Could you scroll down just a little bit more so I could see a few more of the messages? So it looks like initially, like at line number 984, where the system initially boots up, and then at 904.
Well, let me stop you there.
I'm
When
sorry.
you say system startup, what does that mean? What is the system? What is it doing when it starts up?
So this is just the computer for the infotainment center. This is not the entire vehicle, but something woke up that system. And just like your home computer, it needs to boot up before Windows is ready. That's a similar thing that has a boot up
All right,
sequence.
guys, I had to go to
This is
subscribers
a
only
log
mode
message
because
that
the
was
chat is
initiated.
absolutely flying.
Okay.
Y'all rated
And
real quick.
what would trigger this? What would make this startup happen?
We know that some events that make it happen, such as opening the door or just starting the car, we don't know all the events that might make that happen.
Well, on my Chevy, if you walk near it with the key fob, the lights come on the little door handles. You can stick your foot under the rear and the rear will come up. Would walking near it with the key fob trigger anything?
It's a possibility, but we did not investigate that.
But scrolling down here to 906 and 48 seconds, am I reading this correctly to say that the engine was turned on?
As soon as the chat slows down, I will take it off slow mode or I'll reduce it. I just got to get the chat a little bit
Keep
slow
going
and figure out
just a
where we're
little bit
standing.
more into the 49 second. So if you see that there was at one point, there was messages such engine run false, which is only within the same second as a following up on engine running true. It's messages like this that get a little bit confusing on there, but ultimately it's basically saying, here I'm at, but I'm moving to this state here. So in that case, it looked like the engine started running at this time.
Okay. Well, I don't think I'll belabor this spreadsheet anymore, but I did want to ask, did you additionally retrieve data related to the phone connecting to the entertainment system? I think there was the 911 call that you...
We had a call log that was extracted, as well as the connection of a Bluetooth, or several Bluetooth devices.
Do you have
I'm gonna
these Bluetooth devices?
hand you a printout. Is this a printout of device connection history that you were able to obtain from the vehicle?
Oh. By the way, good pacing. Waiting for him to actually read the document. Come on, great. And that prosecutor earlier was definitely one of the better ones.
We need to go back to the original material and take a look at this, because some of this looks more than like what we originally collected. So there's pages of this here.
Right, it goes back way outside of the sort of time frame, but that's... I mean, can you identify this?
I mean, the format looks familiar, but it looks, I might have to go back into the original material and pull up the HTML report. Is that acceptable?
No HTML report.
And Your Honor, I think the witness is asking to look at his original data to validate what Mr. Barber has. Stay has no objection to that. Well, we'll just need a few minutes for him to validate it.
No.
No objection, Your Honor, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have you go to the jury room for a short break, hopefully.
He wants to review the document. That's fair. He's allowed to do that. He's not allowed. He doesn't have to take what the defense handed him as being, the actual thing. Let's see if we can get the resolution cranked up here a little bit. Doesn't have to take what the defense just gave him as being what it actually is. So he is allowed to ask that question, ask for the clarification, and that was a good thing for the prosecutor to step in and do that. You don't have to take if the question is asking you something that you cannot answer, then you have to say, I can't answer the question that way, or I would need to clarify, something to that effect. No problem in doing that. So I don't have an issue with him doing that at all. I have an issue with it's 4:20 in the afternoon, and is this guy going to continue his cross-examination? How many minutes does he need? And why are we muting the microphone every freaking time? Every time. All right. So what have y'all been doing? How have you been doing today? Yeah, I have trial tomorrow in the afternoon. Trials of the century this evening. Covering the Manson cases. That'll be fun. The Manson family. Let's see if we can catch up on super chats. Hopefully we have some questions. Gamer.co, thank you for that super chat. Very kind of you. Mike DeGrado, thank you very much. When I'm watching it already, and all y'all were still there with Emily, and she was like, okay, thank you for hearing our call. I'm here, neurodivergent counselor. Rob, turn up your mic. I turned it up. Is it still quiet? Is it still quiet? No? I'm loud? Cool. I hope I'm loud. K MacD, thank you very much. And Belle Feinstein, thank you very much. You're epic for doing this. Thank you, Rob. Thank you guys for coming over and joining. This is just wild. I've got a seal, clock, and chandelier in my periphery, so I'll hear if they come back. Thank you, Rob, for taking over from EDB. Can't wait to see and hear your opinions. I have a lot of them on this case. Someone make the math on the up and up. Thank you, Rob. Would love to hear your opinions. Make the math. Thank you for indulging. Thank you, Jennifer. Rob, I live an hour away. We Southerners live to hear ourselves talk. That is very likely a fair assessment. I think that it's not exclusive to the South. I think lawyers like hearing themselves talk too. So I don't really have a problem with that. Well, no, that's false. Sometimes, you can get a little too verbose in your responses or not think them through all the way.
Maybe he's just a bad guy. Maybe he murdered them because he's just a bad
I don't want to
guy.
hear
And that's
commentary.
something that our system tries very hard.
Go away. No commentary. So yeah, the timeline is the one thing that's bothering me, and it's not the timeline about when he's at his mother's house. It's the timeline of back when he's on the property. I'm trying to figure that part out. I'm not saying it goes one way or the other. It's just make the math, and then also, what the heck? With what I'm hearing, 8:44 is the video. Then you've got 9:06, the vehicle's on. Then it's immediately put into drive. So the idea that he would have turned the car on, gone and done something, and then come back to the vehicle, that doesn't totally make sense. Vehicle's immediately put in the drive, and then the next time it's disengaged from drive is 20 minutes later, when he's ostensibly on his parents' property or his mom's property, checking in on her or doing whatever the hell he's doing. So you've got that period of time, and you're just going, well, what is that? 9:44 or 8:44 to 9:06. You have 2 shotgun shots, 5 with the 300 blackout, and then you've got the idea that he's got a tarp or a jacket on. We don't have the tarp. We have a demonstrable as a tarp. That's what we have. We have a Kmart tarp. So there's that. But the jacket, they have the jacket for the gunshot residue. That's part. I don't get the focus on that as much. I really don't. I think it's kind of a nothing burger. It just doesn't seem like a whole lot. Because there's GSR. It's a freaking hunting lodge. There's GSR everywhere. You know what's really funny? The funniest part about all of this, and no, it's not what you think it is. It's that I went by the P.O. box today. And I picked stuff up.
I think the prosecution's really going to have to spend some time to fully develop.
Yeah, I went by the P.O. box today and I picked stuff up. And by now, I'm hoping that Emily's had an opportunity to listen to the audio message I sent her from earlier, but you never know. Because the thing that was in the PS box, one of y'all's responsible for this. Yes. Today. Y'all are today of all days. Emily's like, I have a hard stop. Can you stream? Sure. The day that the pickle arrives. Oh, I'm dying. I'm dead. That's ridiculous. What the heck? Okay. So, all right. So we have also not only a timeline, but we have a prosecution that's laying their case out in the most discombobulated way I've ever seen. We're going to talk about gunshots, then we're going to talk about weapons, then we're going to talk about finances, then we're going to go back to talking about GSR, then we're going to talk about search warrants, and then we're going to talk about finances, and then we're going to go back to search warrants and things that we're discovering, then back to finances, and now we're talking about the vehicle. Can we get a linear presentation of evidence, please? Is that not a thing anymore? Have we lost the ability to give a coherent presentation of evidence? You know, maybe chronologically, or follow the investigation and begin and end as the investigation begins and ends? What the heck? I've gotten, you know, this is a Lifetime movie. It's a soap opera. It's a Lifetime movie, and you have Creighton Waters, who's auditioning for the role of Creighton Waters in the Lifetime movie that's going to be made about this trial. Y'all really enjoyed the pickle stuff. That's really funny. I don't know. I don't remember if I actually put voice mod on this computer because this is in my office. And I don't know if we want to try that. I don't know. It might crash it. Is this the weirdest case I've ever seen? If I was not covering the Charles Manson case tonight on Trials of the Century, yes. However, this can't take the cake over Charles Manson. That case was 9.5 months. 9.5 months. The defense's closing argument in the Charles Manson case was 7 days long. 7 days. The judge cut him off and said, you're filibustering, you're not closing. So I don't think that this is the craziest case I've seen, just with the one exception that I've actually reviewed that case. So I don't know if that helps. Hopefully it does. Let's see. Melissa, thank you very much. Don't forget to like Rob's stream. 16,000 views. For 16,000 views is just funny. That's just the power of you guys coming over and hanging out with me while we finish up this trial day. And I keep looking over. We are not back yet. We have a sign up that says we will be back. And then, oh, they don't even put background music on for you guys. That's rude. But yeah, please do the YouTube things. If you like the content, if you like the commentary, please subscribe. I encourage you. It'd be great. It'd be fun. The timeline is bizarre. Thank you, Apple Jam. His lies are bizarre. Prosecution needs a plot writer to make a cohesive narrative for the jury, or he will walk even if guilty. I am halfway to being convinced that this is the literal interpretation of John Grisham's The Firm. I'm halfway there. Because we have embezzling attorney who doesn't get caught. You've got the law firm is being testified to as a brotherhood. Every lawyer in the county is apparently at this property after the murders take place. The embezzlement gets discovered. You have an attempted self-delete that was by a hitman that was the drug dealer. You have drugs. And then you've got, it's just, you have an encrypted car, OnStar, but yes, it's proprietary encryption. I get that part, but why mention it? That's the other part about it. It's kind of ridiculous. If it's proprietary encryption, why are you flaunting it out in front of the jury like it has some big significance? You know why they do it. I know why they do it, because the jury hears it was encrypted. It took a year. And there's a prejudicial effect to that. It just drives you nuts. But defense attorneys do that too. It's kind of an example of how litigation works and how these trials work. They are in large part theater. They really are theater. It's pretty wild. So yeah, this is crazier than reality that could ever exist. The neurodivergent counselor, my neurodivergent brain finds that pickles sound far too pleasing. Also, how do you deal with the cold y'all have in Virginia? Oh, there are a lot of people that watch this from Canada, so we're not gonna talk about cold in Virginia. So it's a little chilly. Not today though. It's beautiful, it's sunny and lovely. I wish I was outside. It's wonderful. So that's what it is. Today we established they just didn't bother with the tarp. The car supports defense timeline. GSR means nothing. He stole money. Good work, team. To be fair, we established there's gunshot residue all over the inside of that jacket. What that means, I don't know. We established there's gunshot residue on the seatbelt. What that means, I don't know. I don't know the significance of half the things that we've discovered today. He stole a ton of money in some really shady ways, like really nasty, shady ways. But, oh no, we're back. Sorry. Go away. You come back.
You bring the jury.
Bring the jury.
Your Honor, we're just copying a little bit of data, so we'll need maybe 2 or 3 more minutes.
We're going to bring the jury and let them watch you do that.
Judge, he's done. He's done. He had a threat on the courthouse. He's not going to take any more bullshit today. Going to bring the jury and watch you do that. All right, Creighton. Come on, buddy. By the way, those of you who didn't see in the chat, remember that weird noise that we heard? That was definitely Jim Griffin's phone. Any male attorney knows that 1,000-mile-per-hour reach for the phone when that thing starts going off in the jacket. That's also why Alec, I think, was laughing at him because he looks over while Jim was scrambling for the mute button before he gets thrown out of the courtroom by the judge. So we'll see. I'm envious of all of the judicial assistants, court reporter. That's a heck of a staff. Also, the courtroom, it's an independent standalone building? Like, this is just the courtroom? All right, let's find her place in your notes. Oh, let's just torture the jury. Can we do something? Look at Judge Newman. Just rocking back in his throne of a chair, completely done with all of the antics of today. Get that man a cocktail. We have a traditional style stenographer in the courtroom today, not the duck mask. Duck mask always creeps me out, bothers me, but that's what it is. And we're still looking at documents. HTML files are fun, especially when you have thousands of pages printed. Why are we doing this? Ooh, an old-fashioned and a cigar sounds great. Duck mask, yes. The stenographers, the court reporters that you see that are wearing the little thingy that covers their mouth, I've always called that a duck mask. But, yeah, that's the other style where they do it. A cocktail, the judge needs Malort. You are out of your mind. If I gave the judge Malort or if the judge had Malort, I think he'd throw us all out of court. The technology exists. We can do these things. It's honestly, it's just a microphone that's completely muffled around the outside so that when you talk into it, you're just talking into a microphone at almost half volume and no one else can hear you except for the thing that's picking up the audio. But you can use abbreviated language when you talk into it. Pretty cool. But it's funny because you can see the court reporter and you get a relationship with some of the court reporters, and they also give you an indication as to how well you're doing. They go on a kind of a rotation. You end up seeing a lot of the same ones. So the ones that are sitting there with the duck mask, because they don't have to physically talk. They're just watching
today and resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Please do not discuss the case.
All right. Oh, he's done with it. Oh. Is he going to rip a new one? Is he going to rip a new one? You going to say that how disorganized they are? This is, by the way, when you're an attorney, seeing the judge with a demeanor like that, and he's off the bench. And he's off the bench. Is he done for the day? Are we going to have to rewind and find out if he's actually done? Let me see. What the heck just happened? It's 4:37. Y'all, what just happened? Let's rewind. Let's find out. Yeah, Murdaugh puts his chair in. Let's see. Where does he take the bench? Do. Does he even look at him or ask him a question? Or does he just say, get out of my courtroom? Judge is getting more and more increasingly impatient. Can we be done with this? What is happening? Why am I here? Someone called a threat into my courthouse. I don't want to be here right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to recess for the day and resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Please do not discuss the case.
All right. That is throwing some smoke. And the attorneys know it too. Look at Jim and Creighton. It's like, you guys, come on. Come on. Get your organization together, folks. Get your organization. 9:30. All right, 9:30 tomorrow morning. So, what did we learn today? Well, we learned that gunshot residue transfers to just about everything. Let me see if I make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's pull you down. Let's double check and see what's going on live. Yep, there's Murdaugh getting escorted into the van. And we are done for the court day. So what did we learn today? We learned that gunshot residue is easily transferable and shows up everywhere. We learned that there's more financial crimes than we could ever imagine or humanly feasible, including all kinds of fake forged guy was testifying today, right? We learned a lot from him. But he was a lot faster than he was when he was doing the in-camera review. So I don't know. And then we, of course, learned that cars have GPSs. GPSs are encrypted. It takes more than a year to break that encryption. GPS companies don't want to cooperate with cars in breaking the encryption. They say no. They say, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. And then we were starting to learn things about how the tracking data works and getting to some really interesting stuff about whether Bluetooth connected and whether different phones connected to the car, which really sucks because we're right in the middle of testimony. We've got Bluetooth devices that are connecting. The attorney is trying to make a point about a Bluetooth device and whether it connected to the car, and all of a sudden we get lost. So how are we going to get back on cross-examination? First thing in the morning, you're going to go straight in at the Bluetooth. I guess it becomes possible. It becomes possible to go back and kind of clean up your cross. If you were missing some stuff, or if you kind of like tuned out for a second, and you can consult with your team to come back and refine your cross-examination. But let me tell you this, if you're trying to refine your cross the day of trial, you're in trouble. We learned do not frustrate the judge. We definitely learned that today. The judge was like, not having it. We're done. See you later. Get out of my courtroom. I don't like you. Please leave. Today sucked. Leave. Bye. Yeah, we learned all those things today. Yeah, so 9:30 tomorrow. We start back up with the OnStar dude. Well, I say we. Y'all are going to start back up with the OnStar dude. He's going to give you a summary of everything that you should have learned, or we should have learned today during cross. Angel Teal, thank you. I'm a divorce, domestic relations litigation attorney, and bankruptcy lawyer. So essentially, trial attorney that handles custody disputes, visitation disputes, support disputes, anything involving families. So I see a lot of pleasant things throughout my day. And then complex bankruptcies, personal consumer bankruptcy cases, and then some corporate. But thanks for the question. So yeah, I get to do a bunch of trial stuff, which trials are fun. And I like watching trials too. They're actually just the theater behind all of it is just a wonderful thing to see. So let's see here. All right, let's catch up on some of the questions, see if I can answer how many of them I can, and where we will get out of here. Because as I said before, I've got some trial prep to do. Trial tomorrow, and then I've got Trials of the Century tonight. Trials of the Century, if you guys are just tuning in and have not seen that series at all, Ian Runkle from Runkle of the Bailey, Scott Cardinal from, Scott Cardinal, and myself do a rotating series. Do I have the swoop load? I don't have the swoop loaded on this computer. I have the swoop loaded on this computer. I got a swoop. For those of you who haven't been on my channel, we're about to learn some things together. Yeah. So I'm going to swoop and we're going to answer questions. And then yeah. So here we go. Yep. We swooped. Is that a cat riding a unicorn? Yep. Yep. It is. Are there inside jokes on my channel too? Mm-hmm. There are. It's funny. You lean into them though. So Trials of the Century is a collaboration I do with Scott Cardinal and Ian Runkle, where we basically look at all these historic trials and we reanalyze them. We kind of take cases that have massive significance, cases that you would call trials of, quote, the century. And we review them to kind of give you a perspective of how the attorneys view them going back. So we get to cover all these cool trials. The Haltman kidnapping. Let me see if I actually have the list open because I was setting up tonight's live stream. So we've got the Charles Lindbergh baby kidnapping, Lizzie Borden, John Lennon, H.H. Holmes, the Scopes Monkey trial, Rex versus Dudley and Stevens, Abraham Lincoln assassination, McDonald's coffee cup case, Leopold and Loeb, Kitty Genovese, Sacco and Vanzetti, Twilight Zone movie trial, kidnapping and the trial of Patty Hearst, the Boston Massacre, Guy, Paul Moran, Salem Witch Trials, which was a series, Lenny Bruce, Lindy Chamberlain, Sam Shepard, Joan of Arc, Burke and Hare, Teresa Jackson, Enron, Donald, Marshall, Oscar Wilde, McMartin Preschool, the Rosenbergs. And then tonight is part 2 of the Manson series. So the Manson trial, Charles Manson and the Manson family. So that's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time right here on this channel. And we're gonna talk about a trial that was pretty crazy. 9.5 months, seven days of closing argument. And then, of course, Charles Manson physically and verbally threatening his own attorneys, as well as the judge, lunging at the judge. Charles Manson threatening to, kill his own counsel, Mr. Hughes, disappearing in the middle of a 2-week recess in the trial, and then later being discovered dead. So, yeah. And that's just kind of a 30,000 feet up look at it. We're going to get into the weeds, though, because the closing arguments, the prosecutor in that case, if we thought that Creighton Waters was enthusiastic about his case in chief, I will tell you that the Manson prosecutor was about as enthusiastic as you could ever be about throwing shade at the lawyers and the parties. He called all kinds of nasty names to those people. So, like I said, that's a series that we run on the channel, and that's at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, like I said, that'll be fun. Let's see if we've got some other questions to get to. And then I will try to get through some of the super chats and then wrap up. Like I said, I got a long day tomorrow, and I want to make sure I'm getting stuff done that I need to for the client that very much would like me to be prepared, and I'm planning on doing just that. Let's see. Oh no, of course, the one day I try to watch 435, this happens. P.S. I saw your law firm's pic. Baby Rob is totes dwarfs. Oh my gosh, that picture is out of date. So we learned that the judge cut the day short so Emily could make her flight, and she didn't realize it. That's true. That's true. I'm texting her now. Judge cut day short. So you didn't miss much other than angry scowls. I'll also be describing this. Angry scowls, a judge that was done with the bullshit, and attorneys that couldn't figure out what they were doing. Shocker. Oh, there we go. We've given her an update. Thank you very much. Was that direct or cross? So what you guys saw before you came over here was the direct examination. And then the attorney for the defense gets up. The attorney is the guy that has the reddish beard. That's the defense attorney. So you saw cross-examination. That got kind of cut very short. He feels like he just started his cross. It's probably a good thing. Then you can kind of start all over again. So that's what we saw there. Can the judge toss this case? Seems more like he's over these friends boy club. He can't. Any action or let me put it this way. At the conclusion of the state's case in chief, you are going to see the defense move for a directed verdict. They're going to say the state has not met their burden of even satisfying an ounce of evidence to allow this case to go to the jury. That motion will be denied, regardless of the circumstances. I don't think I have ever seen one of those motions granted. Oh, no, false. My friend who's a judge told me that she did grant it once, and it was because the state had forgotten to put in jurisdiction. And it was one of those things where she had to grant it. So that's a lesson for the attorney as well. No, the judge can't just throw it out. So Honorable Judge is over today. Rob, this trial couldn't fit into a movie of the week. Miniseries, yes. Movie, never. I don't know. It might. What if it was as long as like Avatar 2? I haven't seen it, but I know that movie is long. We might be able to fit in some of that drama, right? I don't know. Who knows? What's going on? I don't know. So that's a lie. I knew what was going on. We ended court a little bit early today. The judge tried to get things back on the rails. They were off the rails. This entire trial is off the rails. Nobody knows what's happening with the prosecution, and we haven't even gotten to the defense's case in chief. So, it's funny. This murder trial smells like fraud and it tastes like fraud. And I just wish it would taste a little bit more like a murder trial. So that's kind of what's happening right now. Worked in higher education and the technology exists. We can do these things. It needs to be painted as a mural in every room. It does. I have no objections with that. We can do these things. Weed, thank you very much. Trials of the Century is on my channel this evening. Law and Lumber, that's where you guys are. Yep. So, see there. Transplanted, newly subscribed Law Nerd. Thank you, Cecile. Very appreciate that. Very much appreciate that. Thank you very much. My ADHD chart would also be a demonstrative for the layout of the witness and the evidence. Yes. Those of you who have not ever caught it, there was a live stream on which Ian Runkle, myself, Richard Hogue, and Emily were all in the same live stream. That is 3 seriously ADHD people, and we ended up getting through 19 different topics before we made it to the point. So I drew a little chart on how we got there. There was a lot of curves and a lot of confusion, but that's what it is. Is going to the smokehouse like going to the woodshed? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. So, yeah. Thank you for covering. Who else is coming from the EDB stream? I think all of you guys did. And that was kind of Emily messaging me and saying, I have a hard stop. There's a lot of people in the chat that want to finish watching this. Are you streaming? So, yeah. Rob, why is your Willie Pickle discolored? I don't know. That was 1, Matha, bad. 2, this is just what showed up. So I don't control it. It's just it's the color that it is. So how likely is the prosecution and law enforcement may not have tried their best just based on the power and connections to the Murdaugh family? That might explain a few things. I don't know. The funny thing about this is the investigation is just how is it that poorly conducted? Why don't we have the tarp? Why did we wait as long as we did to get the clothes? Why did we wait as long to actually search? Why didn't we actually conduct and execute upon the search warrant? Are you kidding me? You have a search warrant and you think for a second that you're not getting your butt kicked out of that house while it's being searched? I don't understand this. And then, yes, the scene was released, but we then discovered that there's footprints we can't account for. Y'all remember that part of the testimony? There were footprints that the person who took the photo was literally like, I don't know how they got there. So you have an investigation that's clearly flawed. You have a family, the Murdaugh family, who is either really friendly with or very intimidating to. And I think you can probably pick your poison on that one. Either the people there either knew him and were friends with him and his family, or wanted to be on the in crowd, or they were scared. So, yeah. I can't explain why the investigation was as bad as it was. But, it just was. Saw your Natalie stream last night. Nice play buttons. Looking forward to your commentary on today's circus. I will actually, let me see if I can share this because I actually did. Let me see. You want to see? Do we want to see some things? See some things? See some things? Because those play buttons aren't the only ones. And I don't know if you guys even know what I'm talking about because, of course, there's more of you in this chat than I have seen in a chat in a long time. So let's go ahead and get everyone caught up to speed because we know how to do the things. Save that one. And then we do this. And we go to make sure that the client files and confidential stuff is not open on my desktop. Generally speaking, we don't want to do that because, well, reasons, and we are professionals. So we do that, then we do this. We share the screen. those play buttons. So for those of you guys who don't or new to the channel, I'm an attorney, litigator, but I'm also a woodworker. So I also I have a shop. I love being in the shop. It's my happy place. And I create stuff. And my channel is relatively new. I started my channel during the Johnny Depp trial. And as kind of a favor to everyone who helped me get the channel going, as all of my friends are hitting 100,000 subscribers, I'm starting to make these different play buttons out of wood on the CNC, and I color them and I try to make them all custom and neat. This is Emily's. This one got finished up last night. I have to go back and trim it up, but I have Kurt, Nate, a bunch of others. For those of you waiting to see or talk to lawyer, you know, Peter this evening, he might have one as well. So those are the play buttons. That's a fun one. Have I done one for Ian? Yep. I want to redo it. The router bit went a little bit deep, and he's never going to notice the issue. But yeah, he's never going to notice the issue. I will though, and I'm too picky about that. So I'm probably going to redo that, even though it's going to take time. So that's just what we do. Why do I say this trial feels like fraud? It's not that it feels like fraud. It's that they have focused so intently on the financial elements of this trial. They have dedicated more time in each given day to testimony about the financial transactions and the nefarious things that he was in. Mr. Murdaugh was horrible. He was all the types of fraudery wrapped up into one little bundle. Well, not little. He was tall. He's tall. He is tall. But this is first and foremost a murder trial. And the more that you turn this into a financial crimes trial, the more that you're distracting people from the murder thing, the thing that you have to prove. And I know that this is being demonstrated as motive, but my word, we're getting a little far afield. And the fact that we've focused so much time on that out of every single day, every day. The second that the prosecutor got the green light to introduce the fraud, prosecutor gets green light to introduce the fraud. It's like a week and a half in. The next day, half the day is fraud or financial crimes. The next day after that, 70% of the day is financial crimes. Day after that, it's like 70, 80% motive, 30% things that happened that day. That's the problem, because the things you actually have to prove are the things that happened that day. And I know that motive is an element there, but it just drives you a little bit nuts. Just a teensy bit. So I've been frustrated with literally Dick Harpootlian. If he never cross-examines another witness, I will be happy. If he never does a direct examination of another witness, I will be happy. The odds of us making it through this trial without Dick Harpootlian getting up and doing a direct examination or cross-examination, no chance. There is no chance that man is not getting up and examining it / torturing witnesses. Same thing with Creighton Waters. It's like both of these two lead attorneys. There's no wonder. You know what? No wonder the judge is like, get out of my courtroom. Wouldn't you guys? Just both of you out of my courtroom. I don't want to see you. But judge, we're lead counsel. I don't care. Second chairs only. I'd be there right now. So, yeah, that's kind of where things stand. So, hi, Rob. In my perception, the prosecution hasn't proven their case, is my understanding. All they prove was he was stealing from the firm, but not the murders or motives. Am I wrong? I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm not going to say that you're right. What I'm going to say is that your interpretation of how this evidence is being laid out is in line with a lot of people. It doesn't have to be that you are right or you are wrong. It's that right now, there's still a lot of case to go, and the prosecution has a lot to make up as far as proving these allegations, these 2 murders beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm not there yet. Prosecution still has time. I would like for them to very kindly focus a little bit more on the questions we have answers for, or we need answers to. For example, GPS dude, get more of him up there. GPS guy was great. Give me info on the vehicles. Give me info on the phones. Make this timeline make sense. That's where I'm at right now, and I'm not really picking sides on this one. I don't have an interest one way or the other. I just want the case to be laid out in a fashion that allows a conviction that doesn't feel like it's convicting them for the wrong thing, meaning financial crimes. That's a different trial, different conviction. Do you think they'll have a psychologist testify? Could help. Could help if they explain family annihilation cases. Would that be admissible? Based on where we are in the trial, any disclosure of a psychological evaluation would have had to have been a long time ago. You can't just bring in an expert opinion and say, expert is going to testify tomorrow based on what they just saw in court. They don't get to do that. That's unduly prejudicial to the defense or the prosecution, either one that tries to make that maneuver. Not only that, but I don't think you're getting there because that information is so much less probative than it is prejudicial. You have someone who's doing a therapeutic or a psychological evaluation, which I have cross-examined to those guys left, right, and center, and I don't buy into a lot of it, mostly because I've seen good ones and I've seen really bad ones. And especially in the murder trial, I think that 403 and 404, the whole prejudicial and probative, that would be properly excluded under that standard. I cannot see them bringing that in because no way. Not to mention that that would compel statements. Yeah, there's many layers to that problem. That would compel statements out of the defendant, and you cannot do that. So no, I don't think you can do that. Lack of blood has never made me so suspicious someone was involved in the crime, but I'm still waiting on the smoking gun. Thanks for taking over. The lack of blood is just, it cuts both ways, guys. I'm trying to give this the most neutral evaluation that I can. The absence of blood cuts 2 ways. One, there's no clothing. That he swapped the clothing out, and it was a new T-shirt and new shorts. You have the testimony about it smelling like laundry, but then you have the testimony today that it came out of the bag wet and damp. Well, what? That doesn't make sense to me. And 2, those firearms, the scene that would be caused, you're not just talking about blood on the clothing that you're wearing or a raincoat or standing behind a tarp. It is getting somewhere. I don't understand that part. I get that he would change his clothes, but someone help get me around that. That's the part I have trouble with. So I'm struggling. To be clear, they wrote a passer for the day, e.g. API scraper, not malicious. The companies just have no incentive to help them consume the data. Yep, I knew at least 2 of those words. What I'm imagining is essentially it scrapes tidbits of the data and then it recompiles it using an algorithm that essentially says this data is attributed to this attribute for the vehicle, this one's attributed to this, times extrapolated out a couple thousand or a couple million, whatever you want. And after they compile that data, they put it into a sortable fashion that allows you to interpret what it means. But yeah, companies have no incentive to give away proprietary encryption software. And they have every incentive to fight it. The journey has a computer geek nerd paying attention is like explaining Linux to an Apple user. Yeah. To be fair, this guy is going to testify, and unless he breaks that information down into a lot more digestible fashion, I'm going, huh? At least a half of it, and I'm not a tech idiot, so I don't know. K-Faz, thanks, Rob. Already a member. Love your humor, input, and your woodworking. Check out your IG months ago. Instagram is where I have to post more on that. It's frustrating because I don't like to post stuff like when I'm not done making it. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense because I share it with you guys when it's in progress. And there's more of you here than there are that are seeing the Instagram post. I'm going to stick with that logic. So can't hear your comments, Rob. Please increase your mic. I did. I tried. You're a good sub for EDB. Thanks for streaming. I'm just jumping in, giving you guys a place to land. That was kind of what I was there for. Lauren Ellie, thank you, Rob. Glad to hear more of your thoughts. Love interacting with you in the EDB and Lawyer You Know chats. Excited to see what you sent when Peter hits 200K. You got a little preview of it, although Peter's looks different. And yeah, if you guys do not catch his recaps, they're wonderful. Tonight, I have an incentive to advise you to hold off on his recap until you catch the replay, because the Trials of the Century is a regular thing on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. So catch Peter's recaps every single day live, except for Wednesdays. And maybe Fridays. Friday Night Frenzy is another show I do a weekly recap on. So it's best watching your response in the chat. Totally agree. This is the worst lawyered case I've ever watched. I'm not going to say worst. I'm going to say that I'm really frustrated with a lot of it. Emily Outdoors, thank you very much. Question: if you had to make your dream team with the current mix of lawyers, defense, and prosecution, who would you pick? That's a loaded question. Is this dodgeball? Is this dodgeball, like where I'm standing in the middle and just picking one and one and one and one? Expert witness guy, the guy that was just cross-examining that expert witness, he's my first choice. I liked him a lot. He was great. There was, and honestly, the prosecutor did this examination, like him too. I'd probably take both of those in the first round. Second round, Jim Griffin has been decent. He's been decent. I don't have a problem with him. Sometimes he gets a little bit overpowering and a little too aggressive. Who's the other prosecutor? Not Creighton. The shorter one, the one that spoke from the podium. I liked him because he wasn't moving around and he was aware that the jury was there, and he also projected his voice. So I'm gonna go with those four as my picks. And then the rest of them, GTFO my courtroom, if I have the right to actually say that. I wouldn't say it that mean. I'd probably find a nicer way to say it. So that's kind of where I stand there. The math is art in this case. I could not think of a more appropriate way of describing that, Sness. Thank you very much. Yep. I had no idea you were in my hometown. What a coincidence. Thanks for doing this. Yep, I'm in Northern Virginia. I'm happy to be here. This lawyer makes me miss Elaine. Coherent where? Yep. We're still going to have a lot of these statements that are just, did you really know him? But did you really know him? Guys, that is one, that question is completely inappropriate. You're not allowed to ask something like that because it calls for a character review. It's leading as hell. You've asked it twice, so it's already asked and answered. There's no way that gets in as an evidentiary against an evidentiary objection. The question itself is immediately dumb. And then two, if you don't get the exact answer you're looking for, it falls completely flat. That's like first year law student thinks that this sounds cool. And it just sounds really good in the mirror, but courtrooms aren't mirrors. What do you think about the absence of GSR? You'd think that with it being a hunting property, there'd be more GSR and blood on Alex's clothing. GSR evidence, let's put it this way. GSR evidence, think about the rule of exclusion. If something itself exists, then it means something could not have happened. But just because it exists doesn't mean that it did happen, right? So take that concept and apply it to GSR. The presence of GSR, if you are saying that you were nowhere near at any point in time, nowhere near a firearm, would not have interacted with a firearm, would not have been close to a firearm, then the presence of GSR proves that you're a liar. Okay? But if you've been near a firearm, fired firearms, then the presence of GSR doesn't tell you anything. It's a consistent fact. And then when you get to the quantities of GSR, then you start to get even more speculative. Why? How would you know how long it's been there? How would it have gotten brushed there? Is it a contact? Is it a contact transfer? How much contact would have caused that transfer? Then you start getting into layers and layers of speculation. So I don't buy a whole lot of the conclusions that are being reached based on the GSR. The second they said GSR was present, I said, cool. And he said, cool. Where was there are moments. This is a good thing. JC, I'm glad you said this. Peter Tragos talked about the excellent lawyering in this case. I just don't see it. There are moments. So for example, if right now we're saying the defense has not been objecting, and we've been critical of the defense not objecting, as I have been, I said, get your butts out of your chairs and start objecting. If we've been critical about that, then here's what we've got. You have a prosecution that every single one of us is sitting here frustrated with, saying, get back to the murder part, get away from the financial crimes part. Well, now I'm looking back at the defense's strategy of not objecting, and I'm going, not bad. Not bad. Because you're allowing the prosecution to hurt their own case, but you're not directly tying it back to you. You've hit two birds with one stone. You're not objecting, therefore you're not alienating the jury. And the person the jury is getting mad at is the prosecutor and not you. It's just that part I thought was reassessing how that all played out. I'm going, that's not too bad. Now, I still think that you have to object to some of those questions. And to be fair, when some of the chips have fallen, you've seen some of those objections come in. So it just hasn't been consistent to any regard. And then you have some of the motions arguments where the prosecutor comes right back in. What was it? It was after the lunch break, and you had a motions argument that occurred right there at that time. And I was sitting here going, great move. Throw them first, or throw them off right after lunch. Just give them a legal argument that they're going to have to change their mindset entirely. They're walking in there thinking they're going to examine a witness, and they have the witness examination and the questions in their mind, and now make them argue law. I thought it was a great move. Some of the legal merits arguments on the evidence I have been confused about. I don't think that I've seen the best as far as those arguments are concerned. We'll see. When the defense opened that door, that was pretty. It wasn't. I'm not going to say it was clever lawyering. It was a prosecutor who knew he had something he wanted to do really, really, really bad. He wanted to do that so bad. Of course, he tells the judge, I'm not going to bring up any of the financial crimes until I have the ability to assess it and discuss it with you first, Your Honor. I'm not going to do it. And he's waiting there, and you're calling bullshit right off the bat. You're going, sure. Yeah, we've seen this before. And then he's sitting there at his desk, and you can tell the enthusiasm too, because he has not scaled that enthusiasm back. He's sitting there at his desk, and he's going, open it? Is the door open? Is the door open? Is the door open? And then I want you to visualize this. The defense cracks the door open with a question that is arguably leading into character. And I say arguable because you're going to have people that can debate this either side. But the defense cracks the door open. Now, you guys with me on the visualization? Creighton Waters is then like the Kool-Aid guy who comes busting through the wall. Oh, yeah. And just goes, I'm going all in at this. And lays down so many questions in such rapid fire succession that the defense, who has already taken the tactic of, I'm not going to object all the time, is completely caught on their heels, doesn't object, allows all the leading questions. And now you've got information in front of the jury, and the judge is sitting here going, it's in. Once the judge hears a second of it, the judge is going to go, I'm going to let it in. That's what the judge does. So Creighton Waters, that's the visual I needed today. Creighton Waters is the Kool-Aid man who breaks through the wall screaming, oh yeah, the second that we get the character evidence about financial fraudery. That's a fun one. I like that one. Yeah. Objection, what is that? I don't know. And I do know what objections are, kind of. For the kids, thank you very much. Rob, thanks for tag teaming this. Thank you very much. Jennifer, thank you. New subscriber from EDB, thank you for joining. That's great. Magda, thank you very much. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate your bravery, by the way. Law nerds are a tough crowd. No, y'all are fine. The bravery stuff is sitting here going, I got to look through these binders this evening. And honestly, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't know I could. So I was fine with it. Working on a dice bag for Rick. That's cool, Debbie. My sewing machine is being a punk, so stitching it by hand. Whee! Oh, that sounds not nice. Good luck. Good luck. Ian's been stitching some stuff recently, so check that out as well. Crispy Cookie, thank you very much. Thanks for keeping us going. You are so generous with your time. You guys are keeping me company, and you guys are actually fantastic. So just another little one. If you guys are here for the first time and checking this out for the first time, if you haven't liked the video, please do so. If you do like the content, the commentary, any of it, feel free to subscribe. You can also check out the channel tonight. 8 o'clock is Trials of the Century. So taking a break from transcribing an HOA meeting. That sounds like actual torture. I'm sorry, Francis. That sounds horrible. I'm hoping that you're enjoying your break and you enjoyed your break. Revengeance, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, your sacrifice. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here, honestly. Yes, Kasani, thank you very much. Hi, Rob. Thanks so much for doing this. But if you don't have time, we can survive without commentary for a little bit. Don't get stressed. There wasn't a whole lot that needed that commentary. This afternoon seemed like pretty straightforward. So thank you, Lindsay. Yes, everyone, please remember to like the stream. Miriam, thank you very much. So glad to catch a live stream after a long time. Thank you for streaming at European Friendly Hour 2. We'll catch Trials of the Century on replay. You guys, this is workday hours for me. So it's like a rare occurrence when I can actually pull this off. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to do this. I'm glad I was able to catch up with you guys. Honestly, yeah, that's fine. I love it. Gail R, thank you, Rob. Appreciate you picking the stream up. Thank you, Gail, for being here. Hi, Mama Bear. Hi, Secret. Hope you're feeling good. That was the Secret McSquirrel who was in the chat. Louise Lemon, thank you very much for the generous super chat. Let me see here. Hi, Rob. Thanks for continuing the stream. Thank you, Louise. That is very much appreciated of you. We are nice to the Nick's chat, I promise. Nick's chat doesn't bother me. I mean, they say some interesting stuff, but they don't bother me. Good company, HR. Thanks, Rob. Thank you very much. Kathy, thank you for the super sticker. Julie, thank you for the super chat. Sue, thank you for being here. Deborah, thank you. Daniel, thank you very much. Thanks, Rob. Blessed be. Blessed be indeed. Jane, thank you very much. Tamara, YouTube things people. Thank you. Catherine, thanks for picking up the baton and running with it. Well, we limped. We did work. Jennifer, thank you very much. Kathy, thank you. Thank you. Furry goodness, thank you very much. Good stream, Rob. Thanks from Portsmouth, UK. Thank you very much. Let's see. Do we have more questions that we kind of want to? I feel like the DA didn't prepare well for the murder case. This DA is really good at laying out financial transactions. And to be fair, you get away with a lot more leading when you're laying out finances because the judge doesn't want to hear a lot of questions to get around to the answer. So I don't fault Creighton, but I really wish that he knew how to ask a non-leading question. I really wish he did. And I really wish he didn't repeat every single question twice. You know how long, you know how fast that would have made his direct examinations? You know, we would be here for half of the time. Literally half the time. Because he just asked the same question over again. Well, I finished this question. I like the answer the way it sounds. So let me say, did I just hear you say blank? Repeats blank. Point made, Creighton. I will be just as critical of Dick Harpootlian. I 100% promise. I'm just not there yet because they're not on direct. So, yeah. It's a lot of chaff and no redirect. Motion to name the pickle, Rob. I don't trust you guys to name the pickle. Don't get me wrong. Love every single one of you. Fantastic. Love seeing you here. I don't trust you guys to name the pickle. Nope. You do not have that power. This is terrible. This is terrible. Terrible. Oh. Yeah. So, oh no. Now there's even pulling up that chat was a bad idea. Thank you, Lauren, but why? Don't forget there's a nap in there too. True. Nick Loss, thank you very much, my friend. 22 minutes unaccounted for. Is that enough for 1, ending them, 2, getting back to the house, 3, cleaning up, 4, changing clothes, 5, cleaning house of all traces, 6, getting your car and driving away? It's the point I've been asking, and I just want someone to get me there. Walk me through the timeline in a way that makes sense. That's what trials are for. They're supposed to walk you through the timeline in a way that makes sense. Silence, good question. Could the vehicle have remote start? It could. That was a question that I had with regard to the Bluetooth connecting, but I think your question was as far as the vehicle starting at 9:06. The thing that gets around that is the vehicle is put in drive at the same time within the same minute. So I think it was 9:06. It was 9:06 and 49. The vehicle gets started. 9:06 and 50. The vehicle gets placed into drive. So that would work, except for the vehicle being placed in drive. Now, here's where I was thinking about as well. I know for a fact that sometimes I will start my truck. I will auto start my truck. And depending on where I am in the house, if I place a phone call, I'm sitting here looking at my phone going, why can't I hear anything? And I look down and the phone is on, and I realize in that moment that the phone is connected to Bluetooth and that the phone call has been picked up by my friend, my mom, my other people, picked up, but it's been picked up in the car. That was the part that I was going, when was this phone call made? Now I did hear that there was testimony that might have placed that car in motion. So I'm happy to go back and review that again. And I hope they make that clear on closing. I also think that this witness we're going to need on redirect. He's going to need to lay that timeline out pretty clear. Lauren, thank you very much. Is there a chance their disorganization is correlated to his endangering family history of taking out opponents? The disorganization behind the presentation of evidence? No. I don't think Creighton Waters has any fear of Murdaugh or his family or any of the good old boy club down there. I really don't. So I don't think there's a problem. Still say it's like this. Prosecutor dropped his index cards on the way to the podium and is just reading them off of the order picked them up. Interesting that you made that point. You want to know why that's really funny to me? The prosecutor in the Charles Manson case, during the course of his closing argument, is giving his closing argument and calls out Atkins, one of the ladies, Susan Atkins, and she gets up, screams. The judge says, remove her from the courtroom. As she's being removed from the courtroom, she walks by the prosecutor and smacks all the papers out of his pants. Sorry, that was ADHD brain. But yeah, everything is out of order. So in the Manson case, to finish up that story, the prosecutor is heard under his breath and heard and then later transcribed in the court report by the transcript, you little bee. Yeah, so I have opinions on how they did. Why does this feel like a Quentin Tarantino movie? I admit I'm confused. Googie Grant, you might be right. You might be right. The funny thing is, in Quentin Tarantino movies, you get at least the answer at the very end. You get the answer. So hopefully we're trending in that direction. Kate O'Brien, thank you much. It's The Firm meets Ozark. Thanks, Rob. It really does feel like that. Hopper, thank you much. Going to watch my cousin Vinny for a better trial before Trials of the Century. I can't take much more of the flipping circus. It's kind of wild. Fallstar, push up every time Creighton connects evidence into a narrative. Crunch when he makes a point. Squat when he lets witnesses tell their story. That's a whole lot of sitting, Fallstar. That's a whole lot of not moving. But it's a good point. Catch Crafts. Your ability to stream with 16,000 viewers while prepping for a trial tomorrow overwhelms my introverted brain. It's overwhelming. But the funny thing is, people ask questions how you do stuff. You just do. You kind of just accept the fact that this is going to happen. And then once you're there, you'd be surprised at what you can accomplish or what you can do and all the stress. And then when you start talking, you actually calm down. I am notorious for this. In my opening statements, I will fly 66 miles an hour. All the words just come spewing out really fast until I settle down and start calming myself down after a few minutes, and you start to relax. And that's just putting yourself in uncomfortable positions and just going with it. Ashley Bounce, me, why is the pickle white? Also me, oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white. Also me, will Rob get the reference? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Lady Drake, Oscar covering this for EDB. See you at Trials Century Night. Don't forget to tip your waiter for serving such great content. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lady Drake. Brooks is planning to represent himself again. I saw a clip about that. We're going to see how that plays out. I have thoughts about how well it's going to go. So, Chicago PD used them because of the encryption. I didn't know that. That's a really cool fact. Thank you, Tamara. That's very helpful. Doesn't sound like the DA has given up on getting a conviction. Calls the firm attorney only benefits the defense. I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not going to read into their motivations in bringing the case. The fact is they brought it, and now they got to prove it. That's where we are. We are where we are. Reading into how we got here doesn't do us very much of a good. RED, Lady Die. Red Lady Die. Got it. What I don't get is a small window for murder, little GSR on him, no blood on him, stashing weapons before getting to his mom. That's tiny. They've got to start making connections soon. I think the vehicle is a step in the right direction. Vehicle GPS, step in the right direction. Take that thread and then just linear. Not my version of linear, not Runkle's version of linear, not Emily's version of linear, actually linear. Make the connections. Make it linear. Make it work. Do your jobs. Yes. Joanne loves to write. Just quick super chat. Say thanks for doing this. Thank you, Joanne. Let's see. Misty, thank you very much. Do you think the judge has been too flexible with both sides? He's allowed so much stuff it barely resembles a murder case anymore. I don't know. I really don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So we're just gonna do that. And you guys, I know. I actually do have to make 2 phone calls before leaving the office. I have to finish these trial binders. I'm trying to hit questions in the chat if I can. What I will say is I'm going to try and hit questions if I can. Kurt, I will tell you, I see you in the chat, buddy. I know what's going to, if I bring you in right now, I'm not going to get these trial binders. I'm not going to get a phone call, and I'm going to be late for my Trials of the Century stream. Kurt, if you want to set up a recap stream, I can create a redirect, no problem. So you can do a recap of that. But I do have to work. I wanted to make sure I got the rest of this trial day covered so that you guys didn't get left in just all of a sudden mid-witness. Yeah, I didn't want to do that. So I made sure the rest of the trial day was covered. But for the recap cruise, I'm happy to send you guys to recap status on whomever wants to handle that. Because I've got to get these trial things done. Misty, do you think Judge has been too flexible? I think he's been really flexible. I haven't really understood his rulings the whole time, but that's the thing. The judge has been consistently flexible. I don't care which way the judge goes. False statement. I care which way the judge goes. I am less interested in which way the judge is ruling than the fact the judge is ruling consistently. Give me consistent. Give me predictability. That helps me plan the presentation of evidence in a way that I know is consistent with how the court is going to rule. That's why so many attorneys say find local counsel, because you kind of have to know how a judge is going to rule in order to have you get killed, you get slaughtered. Not in a totally terrible way, but it really does become very, very challenging when you are in front of a judge that you don't know or you're uncomfortable with. And in Fairfax, we have a bunch of new ones. So I'm getting to know them. and I try to get to learn who they are through motions practice, etc. But yeah, so I think that the judge has been flexible with both of them, but he's been consistent. Mama Bear, can we go back and try to listen to times from the witness? I guarantee, here's the thing. I guarantee you're going to get on the recap streams. Lawyer, Kurt on civil law, whomever's doing a quick recap of this trial, go check it out. I guarantee it's going to be a highlight because that's a big focal point of the times. I apologize that I'm not going to be able to go back and do a replay of it because I do have to work and I want to make sure I'm hitting questions before we get out of here. Tia Nina, thank you. Law Talk with Mike is streaming the extentation trial. Extentation trial. That trial. It's the tattoos, the rapper. It's the dude. It's what the hip folks do. There's a hip trial that's being streamed by Law Talk with Mike. So you go check out the channel. Go check out all my friends. I love all my friends. I love streaming with all my friends. Do you think that the judge just wanted to watch Nintendo Direct at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? No, I think he was saying, someone get me a damn cocktail and get these attorneys out of my courtroom. He's had enough. Can you recommend an episode of Trials of the Century for tonight? Yes, I can. The Charles Manson case at 8 p.m. Eastern on Law and Lumber. If you are curious, then I would say that one of the best ones, one of my favorites was Lizzie Borden. That was a good one. I like that trial and talking about it. H.H. Holmes is also good. So those are all good trials. They should all be there. Aviation Fanatic, could the craziness of the witness lineup be scheduling? A lot of agencies involved. This is a train wreck, but I can't look away. I can't look away because I need it to make sense, and it's not doing the sense thing. It's not making the sense. And I'm waiting for the chance that this is going to start making sense. So hopefully we get there at some point. That'd be cool. But yeah, and the scheduling thing does create an issue. But generally speaking, with scheduling, I'm oftentimes, they're not with witnesses that take a half a day. They're not with witnesses that take a full day. For example, the financial crimes witnesses. Those are not witnesses that had scheduling conflicts. Those are witnesses that testified 2 days, like 2 random days. The prosecutor had the opportunity to move those witnesses around wherever they needed them. The rest of them are oftentimes SLED. With SLED, you're not really dealing with a lot of conflict issues. You've got them there and you're good. So, oh no. Iron M Town. Use the epoxy and glitter to turn your yodeler into a glitter pickle, of course, or glitter. That's that. I said that out loud. Yep. So, Feral Dragon, thank you very much. Rob, the right answer is both sides want AM acquitted, so Maggie's money becomes part of AM's estate. That every property, all of that was heavily leveraged. It, based on my review from just the court records, and when I say court records, I mean the land records, every property was heavily leveraged. So I don't think there was a lot of equity. Extentation. That one. Good. We got a joke in. I'm glad. That's awesome. The Hobbit hole, because Alex was in Paul's video. Doesn't that convict him right there? No. It's not just that. Because here's the thing. I've talked to people about this before. Take the prosecutor's theory. Just take their theory. Their timeline of events. Now, take the window within which this murder occurred. Eliminate all impossibilities, and then think about the things that could remain in the stratosphere of possibilities, and just review them as far as reasonableness. Car door opens at 9:03/9:04. Vehicle turns on at 9:06. Vehicle leaves property at 9:06. 8:44 is Snapchat video. So you have that window of time. There's no blood or any trace evidence in the vehicle, none. And they would have found it if they could. There's no blood or any trace evidence on the t-shirt. So here's what you have. 8:44, assuming this. Let's assume the video has him down at the kennels, 8:44 p.m. So within 30 seconds or 1 minute or 2 minutes of that video, because 8:48 is when the phone is said to have last locked. Within 2 minutes of that video, you have the video commentary about Bubba, it's a chicken, drop it. 2 minutes later, Paul has made his way from the kennel where he's standing as he's texting his friend over to the door entrance where his father has met him and shoots him within 2 minutes of that video. Father then walks out, changes guns, uses a completely different firearm, shoots Maggie 5 times in the back. Then has the presence of mind to realize that he has shot them. Take the existing clothes off, find a way to transport the existing clothes without leaving blood everywhere, fully wash himself from head to toe. And when I say fully wash, I mean hair, fingernails, everything. New set of clothes, find a way to take the firearms, in this theory, into the jacket, form the presence of mind to, well, unless he premeditated, in which case, absolute sociopath. Drive to his mom's house, wait for a period of time, drive back, continue to do cleanup, reevaluate the scene for 10 to 15 minutes after he gets back on the property, calls SLED or calls 911, they get there, and none of the other things that would tie him to no physical evidence remains. That last part. These investigations find physical evidence literally where it could not exist. You have GSR that's tested, you have GSR people that are saying this. You have, you're going to hear the DNA person who pulls the microscopic DNA from his wife off of the t-shirt. So there's DNA on a t-shirt. The two of them live together. I'm not seeing how that draws a connection. You have no blood on the t-shirt. And you're telling me they couldn't find it. I don't see, that's why I've said, I don't see how it makes sense. The timeline. Now shift that time window to a time when he's off property. Now this brings the murder for hire back in the situation, but that's not how this was charged. That's not what the prosecutor just told you. He leaves the property simultaneously or 2 minutes before someone arrives on property and does those things. Or someone who was hiding out on property that he knew would be hiding out on property. Does those things, that person then has ample time, because he's going to be away from the house for 60 minutes, an hour, however long. Ample opportunity to do those deeds, leave the scene, take the firearms with them, because I also don't think the Benelli is the shotgun. It doesn't make sense based on the proximity of the shells. The shells are in a rear proximity, like they look like they came from a break action. Leave the scene. This is the third parties. Leave the scene in another vehicle, which explains why there's no trace evidence in Paul's vehicle or in Alec's vehicle. And then that also explains why Alec is telling the housekeeper, I was here for 30 minutes. Because he needed to be. That also explains why the phone calls were being made, because they need to be made. Now I am in speculation mode. I'm not saying the evidence is there to do this. If that's a probability, do you find that to be a little bit more probable than the theory that I laid out first? The whole 20-minute window on one side, 20-minute window on the other side? If I'm me, having heard the evidence and in the most objective or most just even-handed way I can see that as a scenario. I can see someone that knew the boat case stuff or had some motive and shows up on property simultaneously with him leaving, whether he paid for them or not. These are things that I can see happening. I'm having trouble in the absence of the blood evidence. Sorry, that was a lot of mental processing. My apologies for that. But yeah, I don't think that the video itself, and a lot of people said that video does it for them. And I sit here and say the video tells me he's a liar and down by the stables. Here's another explanation for why he didn't tell him about the video. He's a cop, or he's a lawyer. He knows that if he tells the investigators that he was down there at 8:44 p.m. until 9:08 p.m. when he left, 9:08 p.m. when he left, or 9:06 p.m. when he left, he knows if he tells the cops that he was down there at any point in the evening, he becomes suspect number one. Yeah, you lied. I mean, you did. He's a liar who lies. He is. Oh. Thanks, Lori. Yes, I'm trying. Okay. You know what's really funny, you guys? You guys are the people that are sending super chats that are telling me to go to work. I'm reading the super. Okay. Timeline. Kill at kennels. Wash with hose at kennel. Change clothes from there. Car. Mom. No mess in the house. Clean. Less than 20 minutes. There would be stuff you could not possibly wash every bit of evidence that they could have detected off of your person to the point where you're not making transfers to the vehicle. And I think the defense can. I do not see that part. Unless someone can demonstrate to me how they can, with a garden hose, eliminate all trace evidence from their person in a period of 10 minutes. If someone can demonstrate, make that timeline work. Yeah. Is it possible to keep the raincoat in the kennel to wear hosing the kennels? That's a possibility. If he had it on, hose to clean himself would be very easy. Shoes, socks, arm hair, leg hair, behind the ears. It's kind of intense. I wonder. I want to see the defense argument because the defense can drop the ball there too. Make that argument properly, I can see people reaching that conclusion. I get he doesn't tell the cops, but why else to tell Crosby the same? The problem is every question you have that you don't have an answer to beyond a reasonable alternative. If there's a reasonable explanation, you have to accept the reasonable. And if you don't know, if you're sitting kind of where I am right now, I'm in this whole don't know. The law requires me to side with the acquit. That's how the standard works. So Daisy May, thank you very much. The vid, long COVID. Yeah, that one. Help me discover the land of the law nerds. You're my favorite channel. Kind regards from north of the border. You have plenty of fans in Canada, Rob. I know, that's why I was saying when someone made the comment about Virginia being cold, I was like, it is not cold compared to some of the people that follow this channel in Canada all over the belt. But thank you very much. That's very much appreciated, Daisy. I get he doesn't tell cops. Why else to tell Crosby the same? I think I answered that one. I kind of, yeah. I don't know. So I was doing other stuff for a bit and didn't even notice that you took over for Emily. My mind went, wow, Emily sounds so masculine all of a sudden. That's kind of funny. That's awesome. I'm more confused by the defense cross now. I was too. I wanted to see where he was going with it because it felt like he was getting to a point and then he just got lost. Frustrating. You see here, if we go with a couple more questions, I can explain multiplication to a class full of second graders easier than making this case math. Lord, help us. Someone help me. This is just all the math. Prosecution strategy must be rope-a-dope. I don't think so. I think the prosecutor, they're too close to it. They're too close to it. They've been investigating this forever. You ever get the impression that Creighton Waters has kind of asked these questions a million times in his prep for the financial crimes trial? As a writer, I'm struggling to make this plot work. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I need someone to help me get there. That's all I'm saying. I am not saying that something did or did not occur. Just telling you guys where I'm at with the evidence. I'm okay being wrong. I'm completely 100% being wrong. I like being wrong. It's great. It gives me a chance to learn something new. I would like a little bit more explanation. Oh, cool, Zeta. My mom was in the house right after the Manson murders and met the dogs. Wow, that's fascinating. One, I don't think that would have been a scene I would have ever wanted to come across, but that's really pretty interesting. Okay, I'm going to try and get a last few questions here, and then I thank you guys. I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to get to all the super chats. I really did try. I'm glad to see all of you here. Thank you so much for being here. Glad that we were able to finish the trial day, what little we had left, and glad I'm able to talk to you guys about some of these different opinions that I've got floating around in my brain. Hey, I have seen less crazy things. Abbey Road, hazmat suit, and someone to take it away. I have seen less crazy things. So, did the defense open the door on purpose? That's like 4D chess. I'm not going to say that they didn't. If they did, the risk reward gamble there, that is a heck of a roll of the dice. If you're thinking that I'm going to intentionally open the door to character evidence, but I'm going to make the prosecutor think that I don't want them going there. I mean, that would be an epic bait and switch move. Who knows? Maybe. Pretty interesting. Kayla, thank you very much. Do you sell the word crafts you make? No, I very oftentimes give them away. I find it more rewarding that way. It's just usually that's how it works. Hi, Rob. Are trials usually this messy? No. I can't make math because I have no idea what the point is, and my brain is spinning from the whiplash. They are not usually this messy. Some of them are, but not all of them. Isn't part of 403, 404 required that the evidence brought in this way can't become the focus? Yep. So, professor of logic, my favorite sarcastic person that drives me nuts. Sticking with logic requires you to pay me royalties. That's a really good one. Shore Life Creation, thank you very much. Hello, fellow Virginian. I'm from the Eastern Shore of Virginia. There's so much reasonable doubt and confusion so far. We have a long way to go with this one. I wish the prosecutors a lot of luck. I do too. I want them to succeed. I want them to do well. I want them to present this case in a coherent fashion. I want them to correct themselves. And Creighton did. He did. Oh my gosh, yesterday. Oh, so exciting. We saw that he finally learned that he doesn't need to run around the courtroom like a lost child. That he can stand in one stationary place behind the witness chair and face the jury at the same time. That he can stand in the middle of the well, which is the place between the prosecution table and the jury box and the court judge, jury box, prosecution table, the well. That you can stand in the well stationary and not move around all over the place. So he has the ability to adapt. I just think he's too close to the case. Cast Iron Mama, Rob, as a lawyer, do you need to keep extra? Don't you keep extra clothes in your car for gym, golf in case of spills? Hose off and throw on what's in the trunk. That assumes some stuff. I see where you're going here, and I could see that. I could see that. I would just like to see the presentation. So, yeah. Hey, Ari. Taking a break from my consulting proposals that I need to finish to tune into my friend. ADHD brain is real. It is. It very much is. So, another funny joke. Prosecution closing. You've never seen Alex and the killer in the same place at the same time. They are the same people. I've seen crazier things tried. I really wish prosecutors would call witnesses in better order. It's all over the place and so confusing. That poor jury, they can't even take notes. That part, oh my gosh, imagine keeping this all together with all these witnesses. Imagine being a juror and going, you know what, it's only 3 weeks. I can remember it without a notepad. 3 weeks in, you're going, what the hell just happened? Where's my notepad? God, those jurors. Yeah, that's tough. Do you think that Poot was supposed to cross more and decided not to because it wasn't being taken well? That is a possibility. I will not say that's not I think that's pretty. Look, if I was Dick Harpootlian and I saw if I had a perception that I was losing the jury, or if I was losing arguments that I knew I should be winning, and I had capable counsel next to me, I would look at them and say, question, how comfortable are you handling this cross? And then you run this by the client, of course, but it's possible. Uncle Rob, will you let Uncle Mom EDB know we were good? Y'all were fine. Y'all were fine. If law enforcement was afraid of him, they wouldn't have done the exemplary job on the scene. They would have done an exemplary job on the scene, right? If you were a juror, what would you vote right now? Right now, if I'm a juror, I feel like I have to vote. I have to vote not guilty. And here's the thing. If y'all are co-jurors, the question is, have I persuaded any of you to match a vote with mine? Have any of you entered this discussion or this explanation thinking guilty and been persuaded to possibly reasonable doubt? I don't know. That's what juries are. They're essentially a room full of people negotiating back and forth over what their thoughts are on the trial, and they're laying out evidence to one another. They're essentially in that moment mini attorneys. So they're advocating for their position. So we'll see. I'm very curious. If hung jury, can they prosecute with different attorneys? Yes. Hung jury is a mistrial without prejudice. They can bring the prosecution, and they can bring new attorneys to do that. Has anyone checked in the Alec Baldwin cases? Checked where Alec Baldwin was, maybe tried to finish. Oh no. And maybe the gun went off again. KWNY upstate. Oh God. No. Different Alec. Different Alec. Della, I'm in Woodbridge. Let's have lunch. Stonebridge. That's cool. That's awesome. Northern Virginia. All Northern Virginia people up here. I do lunch. Lunches are fun. So, Professor of Logic, I drew Alex murdering them on a napkin. Evidence? I don't know. Depends on the judge. With this one, I think he'd let you make the argument. And that's not a disparagement to the judge. The judge has been great. I love the judge. Latida. Maybe the video Paul sent was made earlier. Alex admits to touching Paul's phone. Maybe it was sent the video after the murders. I don't know. The Snapchat stuff, I had questions about how the video was created. I hope they explain that better on closing than anything else. Because the Snapchat video creation time, just knowing technology, we don't have metadata on that. We know it was sent, but we don't have metadata on that. I have questions on that. I also have questions as to that scope of the request of the subpoena. Very confused there. All right, we're going to hit two more questions, and then I'm going to dip out of here because I've got to do a couple things before Trials of the Century, and it's now 6. So I'm running out of time. Island, John Marvin says he had Paul's truck, and it broke down the way to get the crime scene. I haven't heard this brought up. If it hasn't been brought up yet, I'm very curious. I'm very surprised if we won't hear that, so we likely will. Keep your ears tuned. Keep your ears tuned to all the evidence as it comes in. It should be able to maneuver you in one direction or the other. So, could he have stepped out after the Snapchat video to remove his clothes before killing them, then rinse with the hose before redressing? These are possibilities, but have any of these possibilities been proven to you beyond a reasonable doubt? Every time that you guys are beginning a scenario, if the scenario is asking a question rather than asserting a statement, then you're already starting at this whole preponderance of the evidence, where one side is more likely than not, and you're at a question. If you're giving a statement and you're saying he did A, then you're kind of at that clear and convincing standard. You're pretty damn sure that this is what happened. What you've got to be able to do is said, he did A, B, C, D, E. Here's the evidence that he did these things. That's beyond a reasonable doubt. Every question, every unaccounted period, every unaccounted fact, every speculation cuts in favor of the defense. So, do you think the experts have been paid off not finding fingerprints, blood, etc.? The fingerprint evidence, I don't think that anyone's really going to find that, mostly because a lot of them was cartridge, and let's face it, you're going to find his fingerprints all over every cartridge on the property. It's his hunting property. What do you expect to find? That's the other thing. Fingerprints, they can be explained away. You would find fingerprints everywhere. So it is what it is. Why shoot in 911 with processing room and wild pigs? Oh, I get the implication. I don't know. Because wild pigs take a long time to I'm not going to even think about that. It's a lot of stuff I don't want to imagine. No, it's still, yeah. So, anyone who had tried to clean up after dropping a jar of sliced beetroots, that's the level of cleaning that needs to have been done. Not a bad example. Yeah, it's not a bad example. Yo, in the Lizzie Borden trial century, I kind of walked through blood and like how that stuff goes everywhere, and that was with a hatchet. Goes everywhere. There also might be a video of me hacking at a box that's with like a little blister pack in it to prove the point. But it went everywhere. It was in my hair. The next day, it was in my hair. Yeah. So, okay. I thank you guys so much. Yes, that's more than 2 questions because I have this problem where I see them and I want to answer them myself. I'm sorry about that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. It really is awesome of you. Thank you for all the gifted memberships. Brentwood Chic, I see gifted memberships by you. Thank you very much. Silence, I see those by you as well. Courtney Michelle, thank you for sending those gifted memberships. All of those things are so very much appreciated. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I will catch you guys hopefully this evening. Enjoy between now and then. And thanks, guys.